Good morning, everyone, and welcome to session number 7. I had to count yesterday on my fingers because I forgot what session we were on, but we're on session 7 this morning. Today, we are diving into our last day of VRMU for 2020. So for those of you who have joined us the last few days, we just want to say thank you very much for being with us. And if for some reason you didn't catch Tuesdays and Wednesdays presentations, those are all available on replay back on the same page that you registered on. So the same session where you clicked register, now it says watch the replay. So you can go and catch that and catch up and share it with your office mates. And this morning, we're getting ready to dive in some tips and tricks and other awesome hacks with the VRM support and training team. So this is going to be really good. I know a lot of people are registered. I think that attendance is going to be great. And I have no doubt that we're all going to learn a few things today that we didn't previously know. The team that you see sitting in front of you knows the system forwards and backwards and from every direction. They know it from the back end and from the front end. So whether you have a question as a user or back end, even on the development side, this is the team to talk to. You talk to them each and every day. You know them, you love them. They're part of your team as well. So without further ado, we're just going to dive right into today's session. If you have any questions throughout this session, what you'll do is drop those in the Q&A section. You can find that down at the bottom of your screen. It's 2 little speech bubbles that say Q&A. Just click there and type in your question. If it's appropriate for where we are right there, I'm sure Tammy and Michelle, the team, will go ahead and answer that. They may answer it live. They may answer it, just type in the answer. And then if it's not appropriate for where they are, they'll save those questions for the end. In the event you have a really specific question that needs to be answered, just tell Michelle or Tammy or one of the teammates you'd like for them to get up with you afterwards or send in a ticket. But we want to make sure those questions get answered. But we are on a limited time schedule today. But the team is raring and ready to go. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to this amazing team. We've got Kevin Gorman, Megan, Lauren, Tammy, and Michelle. You guys are intimately familiar with them. They're going to be driving this today. And we are super excited from your team, Michelle, to hear about these tips, tricks, and things that you didn't know and all kinds of other hidden gems. So Kevin, why don't you get us started?
All right, good morning. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about cancellations is the first thing. I'm gonna talk about canceling a reservation, the release property and hold deposit buttons. And then I'm going to talk about one of the features we introduced earlier this year, which is changing a cancel reason. And the last thing is their newest for cancellation is distributing a canceled short-term or seasonal reservation. If one of those reservations has been paid, you can distribute those just as if the guest stayed there. The first step on canceling a reservation, I'm sure we've all done this. We come over, we click the cancel the reservation button. Then we have the choice to release the property re-rent and hold deposit. Those are automatically checked. If you uncheck the release property re-rent button, that means the calendar will remain blocked and the property won't be able to re-rent to get income in for the guest. The hold deposit is automatically checked as well. And what that does is holds the money until you decide what to do, maybe to see if it's re-rented or if the insurance is going to cover that. If you uncheck that, then you have the refund amount and the cancellation fees are going to become active and you have to put the money in there. And that money has to total between the 2 boxes up to what's on the prepay of the reservation. The new thing we added this year was to be able to change the cancellation reason. On the general tab of the reservation, right underneath the canceled status, you see this little icon with the reason that the reservation was canceled right now. If you click on that little icon, it's going to bring you to the screen where you can select the cancellation reason again and then save that, and it'll have the new cancellation reason. So if you accidentally put in there, it was a test reservation or a management cancellation, you can come back and say, no, the guest canceled that. Now, the newest thing, which is really fun, is to be able to distribute a canceled pay. And right now I'm going to talk about the short-term reservation. The first thing you want to remember is if you want to distribute a reservation like this, it's going to distribute the money just as if the guest stayed there. So any kind of charges that are on there, like housekeeping charges, linen charges, anything like that, is going to distribute like normal. So if you want to do that, the first step is you go to the general tab of the reservation and uncheck the hold deposit button. Several times already since this has been introduced, I've gone to try to distribute a canceled reservation and it doesn't show for me. And each time it's because I forgot to uncheck the hold deposit button. So after we do that, we can go into the manual overrides. That's at accounting, manual overrides. And in this case, we're going to talk about distribute short term. When you're there, we have this new box at the bottom where it says show canceled reservations. Once you check on that, it's going to show you all the canceled reservations that have been paid. So you see this one reservation here, number 58, has been paid, and I can select that, select the date, and distribute that reservation, and that money will go out just as if the guest stayed there. It's going to be the same thing for a short-term reservation. For a seasonal reservation. Again, you have to make sure to uncheck the hold deposit box on the front page. I'm gonna hammer that because it's got me so many times so far. But after you've unchecked that hold deposit box, you can come into manual overrides and distribute the seasonal tab. Again, check the box down here. It says show canceled reservations. And with seasonals, it's going to show you all the different receivables you have. So if you have the rent for November that was paid up, you can select that and click the distribute reservation, and it'll distribute just that month. Or you can do each of the months and fees that you have in there as you need to. The next thing I'm going to talk about today is rich text editors. We're going to talk about where those places are found, talk about some of the formatting in there, inserting images, creating a link in there, the fun that is pasting from a Word document, and then the thing I really like about how we have them is the bookmarks and tags. Bookmarks and tags are what lets you individualize an email, a bulk email that you send out to all of your guests. So instead of having to be generic, you can actually include specifics like the guest name, the guest property, and the guest reservation number, and I'll individualize that for each email that goes out. Some of the places where the rich text editors are found, it's found in the owner's email box, the editing the website property descriptions, it's in there. It's in the reservation emails or the hooked emails, those are the same thing. For the website property descriptions, I doubled that up. Custom confirmations and welcome home, those are the two things that we can use the bookmarks and tags at. Now, how to open the rich text editor. In this case, I'm going to the owner emails, which is at miscellaneous manage emails. Then you can either click new or copy as new. And then you see in here where you can put in the subject and information, and then you can click the show editor pop-up. Once you do that, it's going to bring up the rich text editor. And I'll go over just a few of the things here. In the base of the text, you can type out everything you want to have in there. You can type it out just like you want to have. And then you can select your text, and at the top of the screen here, you can change what font name and what font size it is. A lot of people suggest you use generic font names or leave the default font there, because not everyone may have the font that you choose. And if you choose a specific font, then the recipient won't be able to show that if they don't have it, so it'll fall back to the default one. But if you pick one of the ones that is really common, then you can change those fonts there. In the error box for number 2, you can change the bold, italics, and underlines the same way you would in a normal text editor. In 3, you can change the font color and the background if you chose to. For inserting an image, what you would want to do is put your cursor where you want to have the image. Then there's this insert section over here. The screen where the little icon where I have the arrow at is the picture icon. You click on that, it's going to bring up the insert image dialog. The first thing you want to set in is how wide and how high you want the image to be when it's displayed. It defaults to pixels, but you can change that to points or even a percent, and I'll talk about the difference on those in a second. Then over here in the URL field, you want to put the URL or the address to the image that you want to display on your emails. That's a picture that you want to have uploaded to your website. If you don't have one in there, if your company logo is already there, you can copy the URL from that. Or if you want to have a different one, you can send that to us and we can get that uploaded for you, or you can upload it to your website. Then you put that link in there, and then you click the insert button, and that image will show up in your emails. Now, pixels versus points. Pixels are static. They stay the same independent of the viewer's size or resolution of the screen. What that means, if a person looking at it with a standard size screen, like a 1080p, they will see it at a decent size. But if you send it to someone and they have a 42-inch 4K screen, the image or the text is going to stay the same size, but they have this bigger screen, so it's going to look a lot smaller to them. So what we started doing is using the points, and that's PT, and points will scale to the viewer's resolution. So if they have a higher resolution screen or a really big screen, it's going to scale up and look bigger on there, so it's not going to make the screen automatically look smaller on there. Inserting a link is going to be the same way that you would want to insert an image. In this case, what you want to do is highlight the text that you want to become a link. You can use just a single word, or you can use a whole phrase. You highlight that phrase and you click the link button. It looks like a little chain there. You click that and it's going to bring up the dialog box. And here, the first box you have to put in is the URL that you want the viewer to go to when they click on that link. And then you want to click the type. It's automatically going to select it based on what you put in there, but you can change that. One of the things that you can do, instead of putting a website address on there, you can put your email address in there. So you can put Kevin at virtualresortmanager.com and then change the type to mail to. And that's automatically, when they click on that, will open up their email client address to the email address you put on there to send out an email to them. Now, one of the problems we have is pasting documents from Word. Everyone likes to use Word because we're used to it. It does a really good job of easily allowing you to put in your text to format like you want to. Unfortunately, Word uses a lot of proprietary markup in the background that not every other editor will review. One of the main issues I have when I'm pasting from a Word document is it randomly drops spaces. You see in here where it says, where is my space? It's dropped that space in there. So if I copy and paste from a Word document, I end up having to go back through word for word and what I pasted in there to try to find out where the spaces were dropped. I usually read it from top to bottom, and then I have to go back through from the bottom to the top again to try to figure it. And I almost always miss one. The other things that don't work when you paste in from Word is bullet points or numbered lists. Sometimes they get converted, so they'll no longer list, and they have bullet points and they have the list. But if you add something later, it doesn't automatically update. So what you can do to work around that is you can write all your information in the rich text editor itself. It's not as easy as working into Word. And sometimes what I do, if something was written in Word and I want to paste it into the rich text editor, if I want to pull out all the formatting and all the background markup that Word has done, I'll open up a notepad, I'll copy all the text from Word, I'll paste it in the notepad, and then I'll copy it from notepad and paste it in the rich text editor. And when I do that, it'll paste over into the rich text editor as straight text with none of the extraneous formatting in there. but sometimes it will still drop the spaces. The thing that I found recently that is really working well for me is to paste it into a different editor. Right now I'm using Google Docs. I've used it for several this month. I will open up a Google Docs. You sign in with your Gmail address. If you don't have one, you can sign up. They're free. Open up docs.google.com. I copy the text from Word. I paste it into Google Docs, and then I copy the text from Google Docs and paste it in the rich text editor I'm working on. And that text will come over beautiful. It has none of the extraneous markups that come from Word or anything like that. You could also write it directly in the Google Docs if you want to. Some people aren't quite as used to it, so it's not as easy for them as writing it in Word.
Hey, Kevin, can I interject something super quick with the pasting from Word? Because I've been at VRM for a little while now, and every once in a while, especially Jonathan, will be like, Tracy, you know better than to copy and paste from Word. I still do it after all of these years. And it's something that my team, because we work in the CMS a lot, so, and the blog posts, building pages, editing pages on websites. So the same is true there. And it's so easy to forget. And I think that this is just an amazing reminder and tip, because it is so frustrating when you've worked really hard on something and then you finally get it uploaded and it's all janky. Like Kevin was saying, their space is missing, your bullet points disappear, your formatting is gone. And it can be really hard to fix, and you have to almost always start over. So please remind yourself often, and don't get lazy as I have in the past and try to, oh, maybe it'll work this time. Don't do that. That's really bad practices. And he's definitely giving you some best practices here to adopt. Great tip.
All right, the next section I'm going to look at is bookmarks and tags. And what those are, those work in custom confirmations and welcome home. They allow you to individualize the emails that are sent out. So it'll say the guest name, it'll say the guest reservation number. You can put in their pricing information. Custom welcome home has tags that they use on it. Custom confirmation uses bookmarks. They look a lot the same, but some of them have different information in there. At the bottom of the editor, we'll show you in welcome home, we'll show you the list on there. There's a link there that says show short-term tags if you're working in a short-term message, or show long-term tabs if you're looking in a message for your long-terms. If you click on that, it'll show you what types of tags you have on there. On custom confirmations, the link, when you go to open up the rich text editor, has a link there that says available bookmarks. And I'll show you what those look like right now. For custom confirmations, when you look those up, you click on that tag, and this is some of the bookmarks that you can use. I couldn't fit them all on here, but I just wanted to give you an example. The reservation ID and the price breakdown, those are required to be in there. So you want to put those in at some point. And then you can see, you can put things in like guest F name or guest first name. You see on this one, it's the text with an underscore, and there's brackets around those. You want to put all that information in there. And after you've put that information in your document, you can format it however you want to. You can make it bold, you can do underlines, you can do the text size of that text as it is there. And once the server converts that to show the real guest name, it'll continue with that formatting. You see here we have the addresses. We have the full address, or you can pull individual address lines, and there's a whole lot of additional information in there that you can pull. For the welcome home, they have tags. In this case, I pulled members and guests. To open that up, I go to members and guests, welcome home. And then in welcome home, I clicked short-term event messages, and then I clicked message, and I clicked either edit one existing one or click the new one. And then at the bottom of that, it says show the short-term tags, and it'll expand this down here. And and it shows all the different ones that you have, and you can highlight those, copy them, and then paste them up in the message for that. Those are wonderful, wonderful to be able to use and customize those for your guest. That's all I have for now. Megan's going to be next up. So here goes Megan.
All right. Good morning, everyone. And let's see, let me get my screen share. All right, so this morning I'm going to be talking about the icon that you're going to see on the left of the rental price on the general screen of a reservation. So when you mouse over this icon, you're going to see this bubble that pops up, and you're going to see that this is showing you that the price of the rent's a little bit different. So you're going to see that the rental price shows on the general screen as $1,000. However, the guest is going to see that the rent is actually $1,100. And they're going to see that on their confirmation. And that additional $100 is coming from a guest charge that you've set up for a cleaning, and that's applied to the reservation. So if we go under the other charges tab that's on the reservation, you'll see this cleaning charge that's over here on the right side. It's applied to the reservation. This is determined in the setup of the charge. So that's under the sysconfig and the property guest charges. And what you do to get that to show to the guest like that, so the guest is not actually going to see the cleaning charge broken down on their confirmation. They're going to see it built into the rent. And we do that by checking the all-inclusive box. The next thing that I'm going to talk about today is we've made a change to the way the taxes are now applied to seasonal reservations. So when creating a new seasonal reservation, you go under Reservations, New Short Term, Seasonal Reservation. And now you have these two boxes. The first box is called Apply Taxes to Rent. So when this box is checked, you're only going to apply rent to your rent or taxes to your rent receivables. And when the second box, which is apply taxes to all charges, when that box is checked, it will apply the taxes to your guest charges, your owner charges, management charges, and any automatic custom charges for like reservation fee that you have set up. Those will all be taxed. So with this new setup, if you want all taxes applied to the reservation for all your receivables, you would need to check both of these boxes. However, if you're only wanting it for rent, you would just check the rent box. And if you only wanted taxes on your charges, you would only check the apply taxes to all charges box. We've also added these boxes to the change date screen on the seasonal reservations. So if you need to change the date, whether it's to extend the rent to be above 90 days or to even lessen that to be less than 90 days, we now have, after you choose the change date box, then we have, oops, I lost my screen. Sorry, I lost my screen. Here we go. So after you have that, you'll see your calendar populates where you get to choose your dates, and then their boxes are now here at the bottom. And again, it's the same applies. If you want all the taxes applied to the rent and the receivables, you choose both boxes. Or if in the case where you're extending beyond 90 and you need to remove the taxes, you would uncheck both of those boxes or check one or the other. All right, and that is all that I had for today. And I am now going to pass it over to Lauren.
Thank you, Megan. And thank you, Kevin, for sharing those tips and tricks with us today. I have got a few more that I would like to share with you all. One is with Readiness Manager and changing the housekeeper on the task. The other is with making hold reservations, updating to confirmed reservations. And then the third tip, if we get a chance to look at it, is how to add reports to your dashboard in VRM. So we appreciate you all tuning in with us this week and today. And for anybody who may be joining us from Florida, the Sunshine State. I know you all have had a lot of wind and rain from the latest tropical system come through. So I hope things are going well for you all and that you will dry out soon. And our thoughts and prayers are with a number of our family members and family companies that are located along the Gulf Coast who have been just extremely impacted by the tropical weather this year. So if there's anything we can do for you guys, as always, please reach out and let us know, and we'll be happy to help any way that we can. All right. So again, thank y'all for being with us this morning. And I want to start off by talking about one of my favorite subjects, Readiness Manager. Now with Readiness Manager, you all have been working very diligently with this new feature in VRM and setting up tasks that are assigned to reservations and then keeping track of who is doing the task and making sure that they're getting credit for the work that they've done. But inevitably something's going to come up and the person who is originally assigned to a task will need to be replaced with somebody else. And with Readiness Manager, there are 3 different ways to make changes to who is assigned to a task. You can either change the housekeeper who's going to be assigned to any new tasks that get created in Readiness Manager, or you can change the housekeeper that's assigned to a group of existing tasks, so tasks that are already set up in the system. And then the third option is to be able to change the housekeeper for a task on a specific reservation. And this may come in handy if your normal housekeeper may be called in sick, so you just need to have somebody fill in for them for 1 week. So we have 3 different options for how to update this depending upon what your situation is. So the first one that we're going to look at today is to change the housekeeping group or vendor on new tasks that get created. So in our system, if you go to Properties, Manage Properties, you select your office, select your property, click on the Edit button, and then go to the Housekeeping tab, you're going to see who is assigned as the default housekeeper for this property. And this is the housekeeper that is assigned at the property level. Right now, Jan is assigned to this property as the housekeeper. This means that if I create a new task in Readiness Manager, Jan will automatically be assigned as the housekeeper for that task. If I change my housekeeper here from Jan to Cindy, and then I create a new task in Readiness Manager, Cindy will be assigned to that new task. However, Jan is going to be still assigned to any tasks that had been created while she was the default housekeeper in VRM. So just keep that in mind. If Jan wins the lottery and decides she's not coming back to work for me anymore, and Cindy's going to take her place, changing the housekeeper here at the property level under the Housekeeping tab is only going to affect tasks that get created after that change. So Jan is still going to show up for any tasks that already exist in the system. If that happens and you want to make sure that you get Jan replaced on all tasks that had already been assigned to her, you're going to want to change the housekeeper at the task level. And to do that, you're going to go to Properties, Manage Properties. Again, select your office, select the property. And this time, instead of clicking on Edit, you're going to want to click on Manage Attributes and then go to the Tasks tab. Under the Tasks tab, you will see all the tasks that have been assigned to this property. When you select one of the tasks, you will be able to see over here on the right who's currently assigned to that task for this property. So you can see here that I've selected the departure clean task, and Jan is assigned as my default housekeeping group and my default vendor. Again, Jan's won the lottery and she's decided she's going to sell off on a cruise and come back whenever her heart desires. So we need to find somebody else to take care of the cleans that had originally been assigned to Jan. So if I come in here at the property level and then move to the Task tab, select the task and change it here from Jan to Cindy, this will update all of the departure clean tasks that are currently on reservations for this property that were assigned to Jan. They will automatically get assigned to Cindy. And again, this is just the task level for this property. If Jan was assigned to multiple properties, you would need to go into each individual property, come to the Manage Attributes section, click on the Tasks tab, select the task and change the housekeeper there. And this will update any existing reservations in VRM that have not already been distributed so that the housekeeper gets updated to Jan. You'll notice on my screen that I've got a little note down here that's reminding you that if the housekeeping group or vendor has been changed on a specific reservation, that when you make the change here at the task level, it's not going to affect a reservation that you have manually specifically selected somebody to clean for. So what that means is even if I've assigned a task here and I've updated who is going to be doing the departure clean, if I went into an individual reservation and made a change there, this update will not affect that change. And I know that sounds kind of confusing, but let's take a look at that example and hopefully it'll make more sense. And if not, feel free to put some questions in the box and we'll take a look at those. All right, so with this, you can see that this is how you're going to change the housekeeping group or vendor on a specific task on a reservation. And to do that, there are two different ways to do it. You can either do it at the reservation level by going into the reservation and going to the readiness tab on that reservation, or you can do it through the readiness grid, which we'll take a look at in just a second. But to change it at the reservation, go into the reservation and again, click the readiness tab. When you select the readiness tab, you're going to see all the tasks that are currently assigned to this reservation. So right now we have a deliver linens task. Well, actually we have two deliver linens tasks, a departure clean task and a pickup linens task. If we select the departure clean task, we get to see who is currently assigned to that. And right now, Jan is assigned to this task. If Jan has called in sick, so we just need to change this temporarily, and Marcia is going to fill in for Jan for just this week, so she'll do the cleaning for the reservation that checked out in October, then we can change the reservation, the cleaner, here to Marcia, and it will only change the cleaner on this specific reservation. So any future reservations for this property, beach times that are assigned to Jan will not be affected. Just this one reservation will be changed to Marcia. And this is where if you have come into the specific reservation and specifically changed this one reservation to Marcia, if you make the change back at the task level here, that specific reservation will not be changed because the system's going to say, okay, for some reason you specifically wanted Marcia to clean this reservation, so we're not going to update it when we update the other existing reservations for this property. And again, if that doesn't make sense, feel free to pop us a question in and we'll be glad to take more look at that. And then the last way that you can change who is assigned to a task is actually by going into the Readiness Manager grid. So to do this, you would click on the Readiness Manager tab in your quick access bar. This will open up the Readiness Manager grid. On the grid, you would need to locate the clean that you wanted to change who's assigned to do the cleaning on, and click this double arrow button. This double arrow button will let you see who was assigned to the task, and you can make the change here. And again, changing the housekeeper or vendor here at the task, the reservation level is just going to change who's assigned to this task on this reservation, this specific one. It will not change who is assigned for the departure clean task for any of the other reservations for beach times. And just like we were mentioning a minute ago about changing the housekeeper on the reservation level, going into the reservation, into the readiness tasks tab, if you make the change here, it will not be overridden if you change who's assigned to the task at the property level. Again, we're just trying to provide as much flexibility as we can so that you guys can make changes as you need to based on what's going on with your staff during a specific time frame. So hopefully this will help you all as you are assigning tasks and cleaners and vendors in different properties, depending upon the scenario. Hopefully this will help you guys keep everything organized. All right, the next tip or trick that I want to share with you today is how to convert a hold reservation to a confirmed reservation. We have recently added the ability to create hold reservations that actually show up with a hold status. These reservations can be altered when they're made so that if you want to offer a guest who's staying with you this year, who has been a faithful guest of yours for years in the past, you might want to offer them the same rate they paid this year for the 2020 season for next year for 2021. In the past, if you went in and made the hold reservation and you changed the rental price for that guest, once you did the batch update, this would get overridden with whatever you put in for the rates for the time frame for this property. Now, however, we have given you all the ability to manually adjust reservations and have them not be overridden when you do the batch update. To do that, you would still create the hold reservation the same way that you have been, but you'll notice now that we have a status that's actually called hold. So the reservation will show up as a hold reservation. If you want to give the guest who's staying in the property a specific rental price for the following year, so when they come back in 2021, you can enter that rate here in the rental price field. And then when you click save, you're going to notice a double arrow button is going to be displayed beside the hold status. This is our conversion button. So once you have added the rate in and clicked save, you'll see your double arrow button, and it lets you know that clicking this arrow is going to convert the hold reservation to an active reservation. In other words, it's going to change it from a hold reservation to a confirmed reservation. When you click the button, you'll get a pop-up just making sure you want to do that. So if you're good with proceeding, click OK, and the reservation status is going to be updated to confirmed, and you'll notice the rental price that you entered will stay on the reservation. And then when you do your batch update to update all of your other reservations for the following year, this reservation will not be changed. So if the rental price we have set up for beach times for the month of March is $1,800, and all the other reservations we get for that time frame in your system are updated to $1,800, this reservation will not be updated. It will stay at the $1,500 price range because you have already converted the reservation from hold to a confirmed reservation. We're really excited about this. So I hope you guys are too. And I hope that this will benefit you all as much as we see it being a benefit. And again, if you have questions about that, just let us know. And then the last thing that I want to share with you all today is how you can add reports to the My Favorite Reports section on your VRM dashboard. I know if you all work like I do, a lot of times I don't even pay attention to what is on the dashboard. I just know what it looks like. I go over to my menu, select where I'm going, and move on about my business. So sometimes I'm surprised when I go back and actually look at the dashboard to see what options and what customizations we have available. And this is one of those. It's not something that has to be done, but it's something that can definitely help you guys out and save some time when you're running all of your weekly and daily and monthly reports for the different procedures that you need to follow. And I know Michelle and Tammy touched on those at one of the first sessions we did for VRMU this year. So if you didn't see that session, I would suggest going back and taking a look at that and looking at the reports that they suggest you run, and then adding those to this section on your dashboard. To add the properties, to add the reports to your dashboard, you can actually add them so that they are organized in 3 different ways, which is great depending upon how you like your things organized. The first option we're going to take a look at is how to add your reports that are going to be grouped first by frequency and then by category. So you can see from the screenshot, we have our reports split up onto the ones that I use daily, the ones that I use weekly, the ones that I run monthly, and the ones that I run annually. And then underneath the frequency heading, we've got the categories. So here under daily, I have the reports that are considered accounting reports, and then the miscellaneous reports and the reservation reports. So when I come in each morning, I know I'm going to go to my daily section. I'll click on accounting. I'll click the link to my accounting reports, run those. I'll move on to my miscellaneous reports, click those, and then move on to reservations. And this saves me from having to go into each individual module in VRM, and I can just access everything from the first screen. So if you would like to have your reports added and organized first by frequency and then by category, the way to do that is going to be to go into the miscellaneous module, click on user settings, and then you're going to want to be sure you turn on the use report frequencies option and turn off the is category primary sort function. And again, this is going to get you to select reports that will be grouped by their frequency first instead of the category. Once you've gotten these settings taken care of, you'll click on the Setup Quick Access tab, which again is still under the Miscellaneous and User Settings screen. And this is going to take you into a list of all the reports that you have access to. And in this list, they will be categorized by type so that you can find the ones that you're looking for. And to add a report to your desktop, you need to be able to select the report that you want, click to turn it on, and decide how often you use this report. So with this one, I use it daily, so I'm going to select daily as the frequency, and it will group that report under the daily section on my dashboard for the reports. The second way you can set up reports to be grouped on the dashboard is by category first and then by frequency. So we'll see here on this screen, we've got our main categories as the category of the report. So we have accounting, housekeeping, miscellaneous, and properties. And then underneath each category group, we have the frequencies. So underneath accounting, we can see the accounting reports I run each day, and then the accounting reports I run each month. And clicking on either one of these headings will display the reports themselves. To organize your desktop like this with reports, you'll again go under the miscellaneous section, you'll go to user settings, and this time you're going to want to turn on the use report frequencies option as well as the is category primary sort option, because this is going to tell the system that we do want to include the frequencies or how often we use the report, but our top breakdown is going to be by category this time. So that's going to be our primary sort. Once you've turned both of these on, you again are going to go into the Setup Quick Access tab, which you're still under the miscellaneous user settings, because you can see right here where we've turned on our options. So it's the same screen. And then when you click this, you'll have the same options as we did in the first setup. So you'll need to turn on the reports that you want to use and select the frequency or how often you use those reports so the system will know how to group them. And then they'll group them first by category, and then underneath that, the subcategory will be the frequency. The third way you can organize your reports is to not include the frequency at all. So you can also just group your reports by category. And sometimes that's easier if you don't know when you're going to run your reports, and it's just easier to find them if they're just grouped by category. But again, it's completely up to you and how your brain processes through the organization of the different reports and how you run them for your business. So for this option, you'll see that we've got the different categories here, but there is no differentiation between when we use them. So it's all just based on the category. And if you would like to organize your reports like this, you'll still go into miscellaneous and user settings. This time, you'll make sure you turn off the use report frequencies and turn on the is category primary sort. And I'm going to give you a little trick here too. If you turn both of these off and you go into the Setup Quick Access section and add reports, they still will show up on your dashboard based on the category. So if you forget and you turn both of these off and you click on Setup and you add reports, they will still be available on your desktop. As long as you've turned the reports on, they will be available for you to use just one click away. So with this option, if we're not going to use the frequency to help group the reports, when you go into the Setup Quick Access tab, you'll notice over here on the right where we had those drop-down menus for selecting how often we use the report, that section is no longer here. And you just have the ability to turn on or off the reports. If the reports are turned on, they'll be included on your dashboard. And if they're turned off, then they will not display under the My Report section on your dashboard. So hopefully this will be a nice trick that will help save some time when you're looking for reports. Or if you know you do have reports that you just run once a year, it is really helpful to put those on your desktop under the annually section so you can find them. Because inevitably stuff happens only once a year. And then when we get in to do it, and I'm the same way, I forget what report it is. It's like, oh man, I know I did this last year, but I cannot remember what report I used. But if I add it to my dashboard, it's a whole lot easier for me to find it. I still might not remember what I used it for, but at least it saves me some time from trying to figure out what the name of the report was. So I hope this will help you. With VRM, there's so many different parts of the software. We here as the training and support team are discovering new things. I don't want to say daily, but weekly at least, one of us will come up with something that we had either forgotten about or something that's been added or tweaked that just makes life easier. So as we find these things, we want to be sure that we can share them with you. And if you all find some stuff that you didn't realize was part of the VRM software system, I ask you to please let us know that so that we can increase our knowledge and share that with other clients that are using our software. We all appreciate all that you do and being part of the VRM family. And I want to thank you very much again for being here with us today. And I am going to turn it back over to Tammy and Michelle for questions.
Thanks, Lauren. So we do not have any questions that have come in. One thing that I would like to mention that I did not on Monday's meeting is we had a client let us know that the 1099 miscellaneous form is changing. So we have developed for the 1099 NEC form, the new form from the IRS, which will be used to for your vendors. So the 1099 miscellaneous form is still the same. That's how you'll report income for your owners, but we now have the 1099 NEC. Not a big change that you'll see. The only thing will be when you go to pull your 1099s, if you select all, which will be vendors and owners, you will not have the options to print. Because when you select owners, it's going to then activate a button that you can print the 1099 miscellaneous forms for the owner. And then if you select just vendors, it's going to then just make that button populate for printing the 1099s for the vendors. So that is going to accommodate this new form that's out there. So just something I thought of, wanted to add into the tips and tricks, and we will check again. No questions as of right now. So I will turn it over if Tammy has anything, or turn it over to Tracy. We really appreciate you guys coming and spending the morning with us to learn a little bit more about our system.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you got a lot out of it that our team put together for you all. So Tracy, you want to close it out?
Absolutely. All right. Well, I can't say thank you enough to the support and training team. You guys always do an amazing job, and you do such a great job taking amazing care of our VRM clients. So on behalf of them, I say thank you to all of you. VRM clients who are still hanging out today, please take the time to log in this afternoon at noon. We have a presentation from a company called Q4 Launch. They might be a new one for you. They're a somewhat new integration for us. They design websites. They offer all kinds of marketing solutions that are definitely just first class, world class. We do have marketing services here at VRM, but sometimes our clients are looking for something above and beyond even what we can offer. And Q4 Launch definitely has some of those, but they're not coming to you to talk to you about their products this afternoon. They're coming to talk to you specifically about how you can create a marketing plan, whether you use their services or no services. And that is so important as we're looking into 2021 and the unpredictability that's ahead. So you definitely want to tune in at noon. And then at 2 o'clock is our final session today, and that is with Jonathan Hickman, and he's going to be going over our developmental roadmap, what to expect, and just talking about a few housekeeping items that he has for you. And Scott Butler, our general manager, will also be on that session just to close things out. So we will see you again at 12 and 2. And remember that if you're looking for replay information, you can actually find that back on the same page where you registered. Until this afternoon, thanks everybody and have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you.